Welcome back to another episode of Adrenaline Seek Outdoors. So today is December 25th. Merry Christmas to everybody. This will be a couple days after when y'all see this video, but I hope everybody had a good Christmas. So today we're going to go over how to sight in the DIALED PRUF sight. If y'all have seen the last video, y'all know I got this sight, ran a little review on it and us putting it on, but I've had it for almost a month now. Absolutely loving it. Just beat the absolute heck out of it on this last deer camp trip we just had. But today we're going to go over kind of how to sight it in and everything, which will be a good sight checker for me. So let me throw this target out there and we will get started. So I kind of forgot to mention, I have the 3-pin horizontal mag, and it also comes with your sight tapes, obviously, and then they're actually really good and provided us with a sight tape that's on here, which is also the same as the one that is on your will when you will get the sight. That's kind of your setup tape, so call it. They'll be on both sides. Dial does have that where there's 2 tapes. Since I have the 3-pin on the inside, there's 3 indicators there. But how I sight this sight in, or it's pretty much the same for any 3-pin slider sight, is just, you know, kind of have your base setting, which I like the most distance out of mine, so it'll be all the way down, which is going to be 0 or yeah, pretty much 0 on your sight tape, or 20 yards. And then what I'm going to do from there is pretty much just find your 20, 30, 40 in your housing, just like you normally would. Kind of finding your 20, 30, or your 20 by moving your entire housing, which I try to keep it as low as I can, or as high as I can. Mine is bottomed out here, but find your 20, 30, 40. So we're going to find our 20. And then after that's when we start messing with the sight tape stuff. So we're going to shoot a few and find our 20, which mine should be close, but we'll still go through how to do all that. All right. So mine's on, but if yours isn't, what you would actually do is you have your bolts here, top 2. You're going to slide that down. More than likely, you're going to be high or low. So you're going to move your sight down. Follow your arrow. So you drop this down to get it where you want it, and then make your minor adjustments, which they have right here with your pins. So I'm using my 20 yards, so it'll be my top pin there. And you'll sight in your 20 yard pin just like you normally would. So like I said, mine's sighted in. So once you have your left and right, you'll never have to touch that really again for the most part. But find your 20. Now we're going to go to 30 yards and find our 30 yard pin. So we back the target up. Like I said, you're going to find your 30 yard pin, which is going to be your middle pin there, your second pin. So a little high. Shoot another. Okay, that is good. There, the first one was me. So 30 yard pin, you're going to move that right here with your middle pin and just using the small Allens. This no longer moves. You're going to leave that the same to sight in. Your 3 pins there. So you're just going to move that middle pin down or up, follow your arrow, and sight that in just like you normally would by moving that pin. So now that we've done that, we're going to do 40. So our 40-yard pin, you're going to do the exact same thing you just did with 30. But like I said, now you're doing it with 40. And sight in your 40 pin using them Allen keys on the same way you did your 30-yard. And that's actually what I have set to be my floater. Dialed is good because they give you 3 indicators on the inside of your pin. So actually, technically, all of them are your floater because all of them have indicators. Some of them may only have 1 indicator, and that indicator is actually going to be your 40-yard pin, or you could actually make it be whatever pin you want. I choose for my bottom pin, gives me the best sight view and what I've just kind of used to. So we'll shoot for 40. '40's on. So now for the fun part. Now that you have your 20, 30, 40, your sight is, you know, at its home spot, its bottom piece. Like I said, dialed gives you that original test tape, and you're going to slowly back the target out around 10-yard increments or 5-yard, whichever you feel most comfortable. 5-yard, you probably won't lose as many arrows. Back it out to 60 is kind of your minimum. If you're real comfortable, shoot a lot of distance, I would suggest backing it up to 80. It's actually gonna give you a lot more precise sight tape. At 60 yards, I seem to jump through a couple, which that's gonna happen. You're gonna have to play through a couple. 60 is gonna get you really close, and it may be perfect your first time. It never is for me, but it may be perfect for you your first time. So I'm gonna pull these arrows, and then we're gonna slowly back this up. 10-yard increments, like I said, which I already have 1 sight tape, but it's good to check. Back it up to 60 and shoot you a group and slowly dial your dial back when you're moving. Slowly dial that dial down when you're moving back until you find which number on that test tape is your true 60-yard or 80-yard, whichever one you're going to. And then use your bottom pin as your floater, and then find your true indicator there of which one is that 60 or 80 yards, whichever you're shooting. We're going to use 60 for this instance, whichever one's your 60-yard pin, and then we're going to go to our sight tapes. So we slowly backed up in 10-yard increments, like I said, until you get to 60 yards. So be sure you're at 60 yards, and whatever your dial is set at 60 yards, be sure you know that's where you're needing it to hit. And whatever, when you're shooting 60, be sure you got a pretty good group, you know, that you're comfortable to say that is correct. And whatever it is on your sight or your test tape, you're going to go match that up with the card they gave you on the actual the test tapes. But we're going to shoot a few at 60, and then I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. Just a little right on the first arrow there. Second arrow. Second arrow's good. Now, third arrow. Then we will shoot the third arrow. So it's kind of hard to see, but up and down is kind of what you're looking for. Left and right, you know, you can make your adjustments for, which technically, if you got your left and right correct on your other axis, or your first pins you sighted in, 20, 30, 40. Couldn't talk. If you got that right, it should be good here, unless your axis is off. But as you've seen, up and down is pretty good. I got a little left to right variance, not that much, but it's good enough. So now we're gonna take whatever it is on this current sight tape, which mine shows on the test tape to be 5, 6, 7, 8. So number 8 on that test tape. Dialed gives you, like I was talking about that card earlier, we're going to use that to find our sight tape. So let's do that. So we got our sight tapes. Like I said, ours on here, I think I said 8. that is wrong. I read it wrong. It is 26. I don't know where I got 8 from. I was looking at the wrong pin, I think. But 26 on sight tape is going to be our 60. So since we know that, Dial gives us this awesome card, and this is so freaking handy. So where it says test on the Dialed card here, you're going to put that at your 20-yard mark, and that 20-yard mark, or where 26 is going to be your 60-yard mark, or 80 if you did 80, but like I said, we're sticking with 60. So you line those up and kind of go over and see which one is the correct sight tape. And for ours, it is going to be, I'm going to have to get a little faster one. So 20's up there. It looks like ours is going to be number 17, roughly. Like I said, you're going to have to go through a few, which 17 is what 17 was my first one I ever peeled off. Like I said, you're going to have to go through a few to kind of figure out which one is correct. Sorry, we got some noise out here. You're going to have to go through a few to see which one is correct. But you're going to take that one and actually put it on your sight, or your sight. Dialed also makes it real handy where with a little pair of Allens, and I don't know if you can see that, but this little screw, this little wheel here, you can loosen it off and actually pull that wheel off and just stick your sight tape on there. Put it on, line up your first indicator. That was the one you were doing all your sighting in with. Your first indicator with your bottom, which is going to be your 20 yards. Line it up and then tighten that back up so you're not having to really finagle with that sight tape to get it under them pins and stick perfect. You can just adjust it pretty easy. Once you have that, the final step is there's this other little Allen wrench. It's right by your first axis adjustment, or your little Allen screw. You're going to adjust it, and you can actually, when you loosen it, it allows you to move your pin indicators. And you're going to adjust that to your 20, 30, and 40 yards on your sight tape. Once you have that sight tape put back on there, put down in your little home position is what I call it, your dead stop or whatever there. So put those with your 20, 30, 40, and then your pins should be correct. What I suggest doing, and you're going to, like I said, go through a couple, but what I do is really shoot just a lot. Slowly back it up, start at 60, shoot, and every 10 yards, so 60, 70, 80, all the way out to as far as I can shoot, which mine's at 100. Slowly back it up. And I've learned that starting at 60, this is the reason I said to go 80, starting at 60, sometimes when you get to those 80, 90, 100s, that your sight tape's off just a little. So you're going to jump, a sight too fast, or a sight tape or two faster or slower, depending on what you're needing. And then you'll really dial in that sight there. And that's kind of how I sight in all my 3-pin sliders. It's a little bit of a process, but it's not that bad. And it definitely can seem complicated if you've never done it before. So that is how we're going to we sight in our 3-pin sliders, kind of here at Adrenaline Seek. If y'all have not already, go check out the DIALED PRUF. Awesome sight. Cannot just put this into words. They absolutely nailed this sight, and it's as good as it gets. So if y'all have any questions, be sure to shoot or hit us up in the comments. We'll do our best to answer everything. If we need to make another video explaining some stuff, we can go into a little more detail. This is just kind of a run through of how we sight in our sights, or how I sight in my sight. Like I said, be sure to shoot a whole bunch. Be sure that sight tape's dialed, and you know, just where you're real comfortable and everything's where you want it. Until next time, I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays, and everybody keep seeking.